Hey everybody, just want to introduce the video real quick to you. We have several things we're going to go over. Hope you get a lot out of it. Again, for those of you who don't know me, some of you may be newer to the department or just don't know who I am. My name is Justin Miller. I am been with the Sheriff's Department for quite a long time, off and on here and there, mostly part-time doing stuff with SWAT. That's where you might have seen me recently in the last couple of years. Main thing I do with them is as the tactical medic for the Sheriff's Department SWAT team. So take my job pretty seriously when it comes to that stuff. I really enjoy that. I've done it for a long time. Being a military medic, it's kind of in my blood. So right now I'm in Afghanistan, so I'm coming to you from Afghanistan, and I'm working here in a contractor capacity right now. So should be home pretty soon. But anyway, I just want to again introduce the kind of the video and what we're going to do. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this video? Why are we have all these kits and stuff? Just Google, YouTube, turn on the nightly news. We've been to too many police officer funerals, law enforcement officer funerals. I know in my time since I've been here for a year, we've had numerous officer-involved shootings, deaths, things like that. Right as I was leaving, the Hattiesburg shooting, where the 2 officers were killed, those that was going on right as I was leaving. So it's never ending. It's never ending, and it's up to us, really. It's really up to us to save ourselves. Conventional EMS just will not come in there and help you until you say it's safe or the bullets stop flying. That's just the way it is. That's the way that they're trained and taught to do that. So again, it's up to us to save ourselves in those critical few minutes. After a shooting like that or officer involved incident. It could be a stabbing, could be a shooting, explosion, natural disaster, you name it. So anyway, I really felt compelled to get you guys these kits and make sure that they're in your hands every day, on your belt, in your car, whatever, if you're out with the wife and kids or the family, whatever it may be, you can have a little something, to help treat yourself or treat somebody if need be. So again, if you're out there in Crossroads on 43 North or out in bars somewhere, I want you to have something, some little peace of mind that you might be able to save yourself some time, because it's going to take a long time. Those areas out there I just mentioned, that's a 30-minute ambulance ride. Easy, very easy. Even code 3 and the ambulance, they can only go so fast per their regulations and stuff. So it's only, it's going to take a little while for them to get out there and then for them to get you back. Even with the helicopter's got to spin up, come from Hattiesburg, come from the coast, come from over in Slidell. So it can be a while, and backup being a long ways away and all that good stuff. You can only hope that a bystander is there to help you. So having something on yourself at that time is critical. It's absolutely critical. So it's a big thing. It's going around for several years now, and so it's nothing new. A lot of the police departments are doing it. Again, if you hit on Facebook, YouTube, Google, anything like that, you're going to see just about every day such and such police department saved a life today with the trauma kit, or police officer saved partner with trauma kit, things like that. So again, it's absolutely vital that we do this. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to go over the kits that you have, these little officer patrol kits, medical kits. Again, there's not a ton of stuff in here. It's not going to serve every purpose. It's not going to fix every problem. But what it's going to do is help to give you that little bit of peace of mind, help stop some major bleeding. That's the biggest part of this, and try to keep that circulation moving in your body instead of coming out. So again, we're going to have several clips here. We're going to go through each individual piece, and we're going to talk about how to use it, and then we're going to talk about some quick little tips and tricks, and that'll be it. So again, thanks everybody for watching. Hope everything, hope this helps somewhat. Hope you don't ever have to use it, ever. But again, if you do, it's there, it's on you, and you can have that little bit of peace of mind. So thanks, and keep watching. Okay everybody, let's take a look at what we actually have in the kit itself. We're just going to kind of review each item, and then we'll talk a little bit more in another section about how to actually use each item. So again, we're just going to kind of explain each thing that we have here. I chose the system for its simplicity. It's obviously small, lightweight. Some good products though that are really useful to you. So first off, we'll start with the SWAT T tourniquet. SWAT T tourniquet's been around for several years now. It's getting really popular. It's used here in Afghanistan as well, in Iraq, and combat theaters and things like that. So as you can see, it has several little tear points on it, different spots. The manufacturer recommends that you grab it and twist it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Depends on how hot that rubber has gotten. Makes it a little sticky in there. In any case, I would say that you only need to open it once. Actually, whenever you get it, you need to open it and just leave it out of the package. It's going to make for a lot faster usage if that's the case. It does have some instructions on the back, but we're going to go through those as well. Okay, so again, we're going to go in a lot more detail when it comes to how to use this in the next section. But it is rubber. It's basically a big rubber tube. If you notice here, it does have all along the entire thing. It has it set up to where you can see the little diamonds and squares. Okay, depending on how hard you stretch it, depends on how they distort. Okay, there's a really good YouTube video from the manufacturer that I'm going to include in the link down below. And it's going to show you a lot more information as to all the little makeups of how it works. And then again, in the next section, we're going to talk about how we actually apply it. Two ways we can utilize it. We can utilize it, of course, as a tourniquet, so we can stretch it really good, get it really tight and cut off the blood flow. Or we can use it as a pressure dressing, meaning that we can, essentially it's maybe not that bad of a bleed. We can put some gauze on top of it and then just use this as a wrap, just like we would an ace bandage, or more gauze just to roll around it, keep it in place. Whatever gauze we use to keep something in place, or even just to keep say an arm from bouncing around, dangling around. We can keep some limbs together or something like that. So that's the SWAT T tourniquet. Next is the H&H bandage, or H&H gauze. The H&H gauze has been around for a long time as well. There's several different versions of the H&H. This one is a non-hemostatic gauze. Okay, so we're going to talk about in the quick clot gauze. It's impregnated with special stuff that keeps things clotted. Okay, so it actually tries to help make clots so that we can stop the bleeding faster. So again, this does not have that, but it is set up similar to the way some of those gauzes are. So what we're going to use this for is for wound packing, where we can actually pack a larger wound on top of the gauze, the quick clot gauze, or just to simply wrap around something, a small cut. Something like that. So again, it does have tear points on it here on the side. I recommend if when you get this, you make another little slice in there. Makes it a little bit easier. Just open the notch up just a little bit. You can take a red pen, something like that. Again, you get that tunnel vision. You get your heart rate up, and your fine motor skills kind of go out the window. So you want to be able to see something really fast, know exactly where it's at, and be able to open it up. So once we open it up and pull it out, it is Z-folded, meaning that it's in this kind of block here, and you just kind of grab the top, all right, and you see how it kind of unravels. Okay, so that's we could put the whole thing on top of a larger wound, put the entire thing on top of it, and hold it down like that, and it would take a little bit to soak through that. It's pretty dense. Or we take it and we bunch it up and keep constant pressure down in that wound as we pack it, so it just rolls off and we keep that tension on it. We're going to talk more about that in the next section as far as wound packing, but you can see it's not really thick. Okay, so again, it takes a lot of it to really help stop the bleeding. So again, that's why we bunch it up and we roll it off and put it into the wound. Okay, so that's your H&H bandage. Next is something I kind of added to the pack here, but it makes sense. Again, on the using it on the cheap. Obviously, a whole thing of quick clot gauze, or the actual quick clot full size combat gauze, is like 30 bucks. So this is the same stuff. It's the same exact type thing. It is kind of Z-folded, as you can see. We can use this and put it down into the wound, all the way down deep into the wound if it is that big of a wound, and really helps to stop the bleeding. It's really important to keep a lot of pressure on this so that it is able to help to make those clots. Like I said, these are the ones that are impregnated with the special coatings to help absorb the blood and make clots in the area of the bleed. So again, we would take that off, unZ-fold it like that, and just push it down into the wound, much like we would do the gauze. The gauze would go on, the H&H bandage would go on top of this. Okay, so that's your quick clot gauze. Again, all that's just kind of backed in there. These versions of the quick clot are really cheap, just less than 10 bucks for a pack. I think for like 20 something bucks I got a pack of 3. So again, they're really easy to use, and obviously they come in the plastic packing, so sweat, a little bit of rain, things like that is not going to mess them up. You don't have to worry about it. But they are sterilized in the package, so keep the package closed. Try to keep it protected. The other thing we have here is a pair of nitrile gloves. I'm not a huge fan of nitrile gloves. They work. They're for people who have latex allergies or something like that. So again, they're just one size. You got a lot of different size hands out there, so it's important for you to get a pair of gloves that fit your hands. It's really counterproductive if your hand is too big or too small. Most of the time, if it's too small, these would fit me just fine. So these are probably about a medium or a large, and they would probably work for a lot of people. But again, if you have smaller hands and you have a bigger pair of gloves, or vice versa, if you have really big hands, you can't even get it in there. Stop by your local fire department, Highland, somewhere like that, the hospital, ambulance station, AAA station. Tell them you just want a couple pairs of gloves to put in your kit, and you can roll them up, put a little piece of tape around them, stuff them in there with the rest of your stuff, and it'll be no problem. So, but again, rubber gloves, latex gloves are usually a little bit more forgiving. They stretch a little bit more. These do not, and these are really thin also. So some of the ones that the paramedics use on the ambulance, they're usually a little bit thicker, so they can kind of handle a little bit more. But these will, even especially if you're trying to get them on a bigger hand, they will tear on you. So they're so thin. So again, try to get some that fit. So again, that's the kit. Again, just kind of going back over what we have here is your SWAT T tourniquet, your rubber tourniquet, your H&H bandage, all right, and your quick clot gauze. Okay, so again, these are all really simple components. So again, and your gloves. I'm sorry. So this is not something that's going to fix every problem. Okay, these are for the major bleeds. This is what's going to kill you quickly. All right, airway and breathing, and in your circulation. So lack of blood flow, or too much blood flow out of your body, obviously, is what we're talking about here. So we can use we can use them interchangeably for several different things, but ultimately it's we're going to pack the wound with the quick clot. We're going to finish packing it and wrap it with the H&H gauze. Then we're going to use a tourniquet, or we're going to use the tourniquet as a pressure bandage, just to wrap around to hold it in place. It's not as tight as a tourniquet would be. So again, in the next section, we're going to put everything together and see how they work. So stay tuned for that. Okay, everybody, meat and potatoes time. We're going to get down to the again, the bare bones basics of the main components of this system that we got for you. So again, some of the main things with the SWAT T, which is what we're going to talk about first. Again, it has two main uses. One, obviously, is a tourniquet, so we're going to stop bleeding with it completely. We're going to stop blood flow for everything below that injury or below that tourniquet. And the other thing is a pressure dressing. We're going to use this just like we would an ACE wrap or anything like that, just something to hold things down tightly, right? So again, we mentioned this earlier. A couple little areas here. Again, their mantra is stretch, wrap, and tuck. The stretch, wrap, and tuck is just their way of kind of simplifying things, and we're going to get into that in a second. As you see here, it shows you, or it says, for a tourniquet, ovals equal circles, and the strip up here turns, or the diamonds turns into squares. So you can see they're kind of little rectangles right now. If we stretch them out, they turn into little squares, and the diamonds, okay, or the circle and the oval turns into a diamond. Okay, so again, the section at the top here turns into squares, and the oval turns into a diamond. Okay, that's how we know we're stretching it enough to make it into a tourniquet. Okay, so that's what we want to look for. All right, so again, we have an injury, say here in the leg somewhere. We obviously want to go above that injury. Again, high and as tight as we can. But let's say we have an injury down here somewhere. We're going to put it here. Again, take it firmly in two hands, okay, and stretch it out. All right, set one section down and hold it. Bring it out wide. See how we stretch it out just enough. Then bring it underneath. All right, this is where those two hands come in, and you really need to capture it at first. Now I can let this hand go, okay, and we can start to bring it around, roll it out, stretch it again, bring it out, okay. Keep doing that. Now we're going to probably usually get about 3 or 4 wraps with it, depending on what you're wrapping, if you're wrapping an arm. All right, now on this last wrap, you need to plan where you're going to go with it, okay. So we may have to bring it up, okay. This is where the tuck comes in, okay. We bring it out, pull a little slack here, and just wrap it underneath, okay, and it'll hold itself in place. All right, if you forget to do that, and you get down here to your final wrap, okay, and you don't pull that little loop out, you may just have to work it underneath, okay? Not that big of a deal, as long as it stays in there in place. If you have some tape or something, if you may be doing some type of tactical egress where you're trying to get somebody out, maybe out, or having to move them around a lot, roll them around. You want to secure this a little bit more, a little bit of piece of tape right here where it connects, wrap it around there, you should be good to go. Okay, so that's the SWAT tee as a tourniquet. Okay, now as a pressure dressing, we need to have a couple things in place here. So say we're using our H&H bandage or any type of gauze, anything like that, we want to, usually it's going to be bundled up. Okay, so again, either whether it's the wound is packed, which we're going to talk about in a minute, or if it's just a surface wound, it's bleeding pretty good, but it doesn't necessarily warrant a tourniquet. Still have good blood flow to the rest of the leg or to the rest of the limb. Again, we bundle up our gauze here. All right, we hold pressure on it. We've been holding pressure on it. It's not going away. We can take our SWAT tee, just take an end of it, lay it over the top of it, hold that pressure. Again, just like we did before, but we're not going to go nearly as tight. Okay. Again, we're just wrapping it around. And a lot of times if you put a little twist in it where it's narrow, right on top of that, it'll press down, okay? So we keep coming around in the same way we did before, get over here, and we just tuck it underneath, okay? Tuck that underneath, holds itself in place, and now our gauze is held firmly in place there. We're getting downward pressure onto the wound. We can extract our casualty and keep that downward force on the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Okay. Now again, if that doesn't work, if your pressure dressing doesn't work, then we may have to go into an actual tourniquet mode where we actually take it off, put the tourniquet tight, and actually use it to stop the complete flow of blood. Okay. So that's the SWAT tee as a pressure bandage and also as a tourniquet. So again, it's pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy to see that. Again, I hope you watch that video. It does show you several other little situations that will work for you. Again, however you want to roll it or fold it up after you train with it, it's fine. But again, it's pretty much just like I said, pretty flat. It'll lay down pretty flat and compress. Some people put a little piece of tape on there, and kind of helps keep it from unraveling. But a lot of times, wherever you put it, it's where it's going to stay. All right, so your H&H bandage. Again, we mentioned this before. It's primarily for wound packing, but we can do a lot of different things with it. So as far as wound packing goes, you'll see in the video, see in that other video that I post on there, You know, it's mostly for larger open wounds, but the biggest thing is holding constant pressure. So taking our end off, all right, pushing that all the way down into the wound. Okay. Again, we're going to have our quick clot gauze already in there. We're going to talk about that in a second, and we're going to put all these steps together. But after that, we want to put and hold that pressure down there. Okay. We're at the same time we're trying to occlude that bleeding off. All right, and just start inching it little by little and keep unrolling it. Okay, we're gonna help keep that constant pressure down and pack that wound. So if it is a large gaping wound, we want to fill that whole space up, and we have plenty here to do that. It doesn't look like it, but it's packed really tight. All right, so it'll fill up a lot. Okay, so we fill that whole space up. Once we get to the top, if you have more left, just put it on top and hold it. Okay, hold that pressure down like that. All right, and then again, we'll use our SWAT tee, and we'll wrap a compression bandage around it, or a pressure bandage, and that will help to help stop that bleeding. So along with your quick clot gauze, your H&H bandage stuffed down in there, filling that gap, it will help to really eliminate a lot of the bleeding, help soak up all that blood, and get down to the source, which is really what we want to get to. We want to get to the source of the bleeding. Okay, so again, that's your H&H. Again, several different uses for that. You know, we can have, you can use it for a sling, you can tie stuff up with it, you can use it for improvised handcuffs as you needed to. If you had an unconscious patient, you didn't want their hands moving around, flopping around, feet, legs, things like that, you could tie them up with that, you know, just in case you need to do that. So again, a lot of different uses for that. All right, so your quick clot gauze, it's again, we don't have a lot of it, so we want to put it right where it needs to go. Okay, so just like we talked about with the H&H, the first thing we want to do is, if we have that large wound, large open wound, and even it may even look like it. Some of the smaller gunshot wounds with a small entry wound can have a large cavity in it. All right, that cavitation happens when that bullet starts to spin once it hits the flesh. Okay, and it starts to make a larger cavity in there, and then it exits the body, or it even just tumbles around and stays in there. So, so again, you want to make sure that you have a good amount of coverage. All right, with this. So again, you have your open wound there, and again, same thing. Press it down and put it down in there. Now again, this is not everybody's cup of tea, okay? I understand that. Now, I'm not trying to make thoracic surgeons out of everybody, but again, it's possibly your life, it's possibly your friend's life, co-worker, whatever it may be, civilian, and you know, so we want to do everything we possibly can. We can get sick and feel bad about it later, but you know, we just don't have time for that when stuff like this need to be happening. So so again, we just want to pack it down in there, hold it tight. It's gonna be a lot of blood, it's gonna be real slippery. Okay, so push it down in there as far as you can get it. Okay, and then start working it down. All right, little by little, constantly holding pressure. See how that right hand's never coming off. Okay, I'm just pulling it in there, and it's just flaking off from this hand. Okay, so pull it down in there, hold it tight. Again, if we fill up it with packing, we have more left, just bunch it up, put it on top. All right, if the wound is large enough and we need to, again, we can pack it with the rest of our H&H, or we can take the H&H and just wrap it around, kind of like we did the tourniquet. We can wrap it around there just to hold it in place. Just kind of depends on how much is bleeding. Okay, if you don't have a lot of profuse bleeding, you know, you may not need that much. Once you start moving, dragging a casualty, you may open stuff up, pull stuff. It's no fault of yours. It's just, you know, the way it's going to happen, trying to get them out of there. And it may open up. You may start bleeding more. You may need to do a few more things. So you may end up having to go with a pressure bandage or a tourniquet. Okay. So again, pretty simple stuff. Again, constant pressure on there. It's going to be very painful if you have a wound like that, where you're having to do that to a patient. It is going to be extremely painful. The patient is going to be screaming and writhing in pain. You know, so you just have to kind of block that out. You know, keep your eyes up. You know, scan for threats every so often, and yeah, but still, you're going to have to do something to try to stop that bleeding. Okay, so put it down in there. They may even pass out, which is actually a little bit better sometimes. You know, they don't move around as much. They don't open the wound up more, and things like that. But sad to say, but sometimes that's a little bit better. Okay. All right. So again, the YouTube video, I mentioned that before. We mentioned again the on wound packing, it's really good. It's pretty, again, it kind of shows you a little bit better, what the actual wound would look like. So again, that's the 3 major steps. All right. So again, if we may have to pack the wound with our gauze, with our combat gauze or quick clot gauze. Okay. So we pack the wound in there. All right. We hold constant pressure on it, at least 3 to 5 minutes. All right. We may have to take take our H&H gauze, pack that wound some more, okay, or build it up on top of it, keep that constant pressure. Again, we may have to take our H&H bandage and wrap it around, just kind of keep it in place. Okay, we can do that. Again, if you get enough wraps on there, put the rest of it right on top of it. That's going to help. That bulkiness is going to help to apply pressure down. Okay, so then we take our pressure dressing or our tourniquet and create a pressure dressing with it. Again, not so tight as we would a tourniquet. Wrap it around a few times. You can kind of overlap itself a little bit. Make sure it stays. Again, if you got a lot of blood, it's going to be kind of slippery. But these tourniquets have been tested in a lot of wet environments, a lot of blood, things like that. So again, pick it up, slide it underneath, holds itself in place. Okay, and all that's fitting in your pocket. All right, in that little pouch. All right, so we can do a lot with that. So again, if need be, we can. If we have severe bleeding right from the start, we're not going to worry about all this stuff. Okay, that's the big differentiation here. If we have just a little bit of bleeding, or just some slow bleeding, no problem. We'll try the gauze. Do what we got to do. But if we have severe bleeding, we have an amputation, partial amputation, anything like that, go directly for that tourniquet. Okay, put it on. Again, stretch it out wide. All right, wrap it around, hold it, okay, run it around, pull it again. Like I said, we're looking for those indicators here, okay, pull them tight, wrap it around each time. Like I said, we get to about to that third one, we need to be looking for a spot to tuck it, okay. So tuck it underneath there, hold itself in place really well, okay. All right, folks, so that's kind of the real bare bones basics. I know we'll go kind of quick with that, but again, that's really as simple as it is. There's just a few scenarios here that we can run into. I just want to give you a look at some of those. Again, like I said, those videos will give you a little bit more insight. You can review those some more. Again, like you'll see in the other sections, I'll tell you, if you have any questions, please, get with me. Get with some of the SWAT guys who had some more training. If you got some EMT paramedic friends, something like that, get with those guys and girls. They'll be able to help you as well. But again, really simple stuff. Keep it on you and use it. You practice it with it. Okay. So in the next section, we're going to look at some options that we have for you. So just different little things that you may run into that you may see in the field. So stay tuned for that. Okay, everybody, so we just went through all the hows and whys of all the stuff in your kit. All right, we practiced all that. So now I just want to kind of give you a few options to go by, things that you may see out there, working with other agencies, working with some of our SWAT team guys that have some different equipment as well that they were issued. So just knowing how those things work is important. So again, we'll just kind of jump right into it. First off is the CAT tourniquet. The CAT tourniquet is probably one of the most popular combat tourniquets on the market ever. It is very, very popular. All of our SWAT team members have a CAT tourniquet as well as a SWAT T tourniquet. So again, if something, if you're on perimeter, or if you're needing to assist one of them or use it yourself or whatever, it may be it's good to know how to use it. Essentially, it's a one-handed operation. See the red tab here. You pull the red tab up, and it just needs to go through one time. You can go through twice, but realistically, it'll work with just one. So say I have a wound here below it. I'm gonna get it really tight. Get it snug as I can. Velcro it back. Okay, and now this is called the windlass. This windlass just needs to twist. We twist until the blood stops, the bleeding stops. Okay, and there's no pulse in the hand, but ultimately the main thing is that the bleeding stops. Okay, once the bleeding stops, we're good. Stop twisting. You can take this little tab and put it over it like that. Okay, so that's a one-handed operation. You can obviously undo it all the way if you have say like an upper leg, something like that. You may have to completely undo it, but ultimately you can slip it over the hand like that, bring it up high into the arm. That's where we'd like to do it. We always talk about high and tight like we did earlier. Same thing. All right, all these have the same. All tourniquets pretty much have the same premise. They work similarly as far as what we want to accomplish with them, but they just have a little bit different operation. Okay, so again, we just put that on there, tighten it down, turn the windlass, and then put our little tab over it, hook it in that one of these little spots, and it's good to go. If you have the ability, write the time that you put your tourniquet on there. It just kind of gives us an idea how long they've been without blood flow to the rest of that extremity. So again, just like the SWAT T tourniquets for arms and legs, we're not going to be really treating anything else with that. So high and tight on the limb, and make sure the blood flow stops. All right, so that's the CAT tourniquet. Its cousin is the soft T, or SOF, Special Operations Forces wide. They have the wide and they have the narrow. This is the narrow. It's been around again around actually a little bit longer than the CAT tourniquet has, but it really didn't come out of the military for a while until recently. They started kind of making a civilian market for it. But again, it is very similar to the CAT tourniquet. It works essentially the same way. It does have a little bit different look to it. It has this little screw on here, and essentially what that screw does is help keep our little alligator clip here from loosening up. So I can't undo it once I wind that down. So if you do have one of these or using one of these and you can't get this open, just unscrew back that screw off, and then you can push down and you can tighten it up as you need to. So, but again, it works the same way. You can use it one-handed. It's not as smooth. You have to kind of do a little ratchet motion there. So again, get it as tight as you can with that. Then we take our windlass and we're going to spin that windlass around until it gets tight. Okay. Now that's what these little triangles are here for. Take it and slip it inside the triangle. All right, and it keeps it from turning the other way. All right. So you have one on both sides. You can use it either way. All right. But again, it's pretty much the same operation. This has a couple different little features to it. But again, get it tight enough, as tight as you can manually. Take your windlass and ratchet it down, get it tight, and then again, press that in. You can release the tension off of it. Just like before, like we talked about, don't take the tourniquet off once you put it on. Do not take it off. It needs to stay on there. It's very important that happens. You don't want to release a lot of blood really fast. Okay, so again, just leave it in place. Mark your time on there if you can. Has a little spot right there for your time. Okay, so that's the soft T and the soft T wide. A couple other things, some other clotting agents. We talked earlier about combat gauze. We made mention of that. This is combat gauze. It's again made by QuikClot. They just have a different name for it. Combat gauze comes in a couple different formats. This is the Z-fold, much like the QuikClot that you guys have. There is just more of it in here, and it's a little bit longer. Okay, it's about 4 yards. Okay, 3 inches by 4 yards. And again, it's the same exact material. It acts the same way. It does the same job. Okay, again, there's just more of it for wound packing. And again, it's Z-folded, really thin. This stays in my little kit here. Combat gauze, this is not it, but it's similar to it. It comes in a rolled gauze form. Okay, so it's just rolled around itself. It's kind of bulky, but it has the same properties as the other QuikClots. It has the QuikClot coating on it, but essentially you can take the middle of the roll, pull it out, and stuff the wound that way. You can do that with this regular gauze, roll gauze too, and this is stuff that you can get from medical supply place. Like I said, AAA usually has all this stuff a lot laying around. Hospitals, Highland, any of those places, Popville Hospital, they'll have some of this laying around. And it's usually fairly inexpensive. You can also order a whole box of this stuff for pretty cheap too off the internet. So again, just rolled gauze is really good for a lot of things. Again, you can use it as a sling for your arm. You can tie something together. You can again pack a wound with it, wrap an arm with it. Something like that. it's really multi-use. So the next section you're going to see is we're going to talk about how to put all this stuff back in your kit in a manner in which we can get it out really fast. Again, like we talked about, like you're going to hear, we lose those fine motor skills. We get some of those high stress situations, and we lose that sensitivity in our hands. And so trying to pick out little things from that package while it's attached to your belt and everything else, it's kind of tough. So I'm going to show you a different way, the little trick for you. Again, there's several different ways to do it, but this way is just an easy, quick, cheap way for you to be able to get all your supplies out of your package in one fell swoop and put them into use really fast. So stay tuned for that. Thanks. Okay, guys and girls, what we have here is a kind of a little trick or tip to kind of help keep things together and get them out of the package, together. A lot of times, in a gunfight or a high stress situation, you sometimes lose your fine motor skills or that fingertip feeling. So we want to use some gross muscle skills and be able to get all that stuff out of there in one fluid motion, and then from there you can pick and choose whatever it is that you're going to need from the pack. So what I've done here is some athletic tape, some red athletic tape you can use. Duct tape, you can use 100-mile-an-hour tape, whatever you want to call it. Several different types of wide tape. This again, athletic tape works well. It tears well, so if you need to tear it and get into it, you can do that as well. So what we have here is the quick clot that goes down there first, then the tourniquet. You see the H&H bandage and the gloves. They all come in the kit there together. All right, and so they all kind of sit right in there. So the way they came out of the kit is the way they go back in, with the exception of the quick clot that we gave you. So we can just put all that in one little stack right there. Try to hold it all together. Again, lay it down. We notice we have a couple inches here, maybe about 3-4 inches hanging over, and we've also folded the end. Okay, so we folded the end. Just it doesn't really matter how much, just a little bit. That way you can get into it. You're going to see later how it's going to tear open. So we'll take our other end, kind of wrap it right underneath the bottom. Okay, and bring it over the top and just kind of press it down as we go. Keeps everything together, everything from falling out. Keeps the gloves tight, and just start pressing it down once you get to the top here. All right, and so once we get to the top, like I said, we're going to go all the way to the end, and we're going to tear it off. We're going to end up folding it back over on itself. Okay, so now I'm just going to take that end just like this other end is, fold it over. Okay, so it's folded over on itself. All right, so now we have two little tabs here. Okay, all right, so now you can see it's all one big pack together. All right, also helps going back into the pack if you're training with it, if you're gonna anything like that. We'll take it apart. Again, it's just a quick little, maybe 12 inches of tape or so. All right, so it should all go back into the pack fairly easy. Okay, get it all stuffed back into the pack. Now you see we have this nice red, highly visible, okay, just like our tab here. All right, and it can fold over, you can fold in, doesn't really matter. Okay, and it closes. Now we're ready to use it, and we're trying to reach back and hold pressure with one hand or shoot back with one hand, reach back for our kit. We can grab something substantial. It's enough to grab any way you want to, overhand, underhand, something like that with gloves on, and you can pull it all the way out. Okay, now once this is pulled out, you can grab both of them, split it open. Okay, and now everything's kind of stuck to the tape there. So now you get to choose what you want. So you can pull it off the tape fairly easily. You can tear the tape if you need to. However you need to do that, it's fine. But it all comes out kind of laid out in one little package there. And again, you can pick and choose what you need to do. All the different items have tear points on them, so you could tear them straight from off the tape. So again, that's just another quick little tip for you. Make life easier in a high stress situation. So thanks. Okay, everybody. So in closing, I just want to give you a couple quick final thoughts here. Again, I hope this was helpful. Again, you can obviously review this video as many times as you need to, and I get that information. Several of the SWAT guys have gotten some pretty good training over the last few years. We've gone through a pretty good course with them. So if you pull those guys to the side and you're just not sure about something, you want them to show you something or whatever, please, I don't think they'll have a problem with you picking their brain about this sort of stuff. It's for benefiting everybody. So again, on that note, if you have questions, please ask. You can put comments down in the comment section down below. Private message me, Facebook message me. If you need me, if you want, I can call you, video chat, whatever. I'll be glad to do anything I can to to get you up to speed. I know we kind of went through things pretty quick here. We only have so much time on the video, so again, I don't want to be dragging you down all day. I just want to give you some good high points, and I hope I did that. Just some other quick things. Practice. Quick 10 minutes, right there at shift change or something in the morning or in the evening, whatever it may be. Get the guys together real quick and just go through a quick little scenario. It could be, throwing on tourniquets, whatever it might be. Just practice wound packing. We get some spare gauze and just practice with it. Things like that. Any number of little scenarios. Just kind of get that fresh in your mind and keep you sharp. Okay. So stay in the fight. That's another big thing. You get injured, you get wounded, whatever it may be. Stay in the fight. Keep your head in there. Keep your head on your sights. Keep your eyes focused downrange on your threats, and eliminate those threats. And then you can start treating casualties, start treating yourself, things like that. Get behind some cover, some hard cover, and do what you have to do to help keep yourself alive. Okay, but again, it's all a mental state. Again, like we talked about several times about losing certain faculties of your sensories. So losing those fine motor skills in your fingers. You'll start to breathe a lot. Obviously, adrenaline's going to be flowing. Your heart rate's going to be up, so therefore you're going to bleed faster. Okay, so try to slow your breathing down. Combat breathing, one breath, in, hold it, breathe it out, hold it. Okay, it's vital to try to keep that heart rate down. Okay, it's really difficult to do that unless you practice. Okay, so practice. Wear them. Wear these kits. I got these especially for you guys on patrol. Wearing a gun belt every day. Put it on your gun belt. All right. You may have to move some stuff around or whatever. I know it may not be. It's not the smallest thing. It's not the biggest thing. Okay, but again, it's going to be, if you get shot or you get stabbed, you get some type of explosion or something, it's going to possibly be just as important as anything on that gun belt. Okay, so again, you can turn it horizontally, you can turn it vertically, put it on your gun belt and use it. Okay, it's going to do you no good in your trunk of your car, I can promise you. In a gunfight, a lot of times you're not going to be able to get around there to your trunk and get this thing out and use it. Okay, so try to keep it somewhere close to you. For those of you plainclothes guys, investigators, people working the jail, something like that, keep it close to you. Front console of your vehicle. If you just take pieces and parts of it out of the kit and slide it in a cargo pocket. You got two cargo pockets or something. Slide your gauze on one side and your tourniquet on the other, and hey, it's at least it's there. Okay, things like that. Especially, it doesn't have to be high risk for you to need to have a medical kit. So again, keep it close to you. I'm going to post some YouTube videos. I mentioned those a couple times. Some YouTube videos down in the comment sections. Again, for wound packing, and then also for the tourniquet use. And those are some really good videos for you, kind of again in your leisure if you want to go over those some more. There's a lot of good information in that. So again, if you have questions, please ask. I want to make sure that you fully understand everything. I didn't leave you. I know, again, like I said, we went through a lot pretty fast. I don't want to leave you with any questions. So again, that's all my time. I really appreciate it. Hope hope you guys enjoy what we did here. Again, you guys really be safe. Keep your head on a swivel and stay in the fight. Thanks.